Hi everyone, my name is Angela Stevens and I am a senior level certified human resources professional and I am the principal consultant of AMS HCM Consulting. And today we are going to explore what employers need to know employee versus independent contractor. So whether you're a private practice or a small business or a medium-sized business, many people get this all wrong. What you should know about this in its most basic form is that the IRS only classifies two types of employment relationships. One of those relationships are a W-2 employee. This is somebody who you define their working hours. You might define that they need to wear your uniform. You pay them payroll, and you have a contributory situation as it relates to payroll tax and business tax. With an independent contractor, you do not pay their taxes, and they are 1099 NECs who you pay a gross wage amount to based on a negotiated or agreed upon contract with a outlined scope, etc. So there's a big difference between the two. They don't intermingle. You either have one or the other. Now, there are some agencies in the federal government who have chimed in on this matter, and there are three tests to be exact, three different agencies that say that we want to help you be able to define who it is that you're hiring in your company. And we expect you, they have rules and regulations, and they expect that you classify those individuals correctly. The U.S. Department of Labor is the first of those authorities, and the U.S. Department of Labor has outlined rules, and then they've rescinded those rules, and they've taken those rules all the way up to the highest court in the land, the United States Supreme Court, and they've just really kind of gone back and forth with this thing and tried to simplify it for employers. But ultimately, what the Supreme Court has come back with in its most simplest form is what is the amount of control that the employer is exercising over the individual. And that really is kind of the litmus test for whether or not this individual is going to be an independent contractor classification or a W-2 employee. Sometimes employers will completely know that, hey, I'm hiring an independent contractor, but they'll control them as if they're an employee. And they do this intentionally. They don't care. They do it because they're avoiding or abrogating, benefits, that tax that I talked about with regards to payroll. It's just a lot cheaper. But most employers don't do it because they don't classify people right because they just don't know. The problem with the I don't know scenario is that you're dealing with the federal government, and that is not a viable defense. And so if you're violating the rules of the federal government, they're going to come after you. Typically, they're going to send you a nasty gram and tell you if you don't fix it by X time, you're going to owe whatever. In the meantime, you could have employees that understand their rights, and you're getting sued there. This is one of those things that regardless of how much time they give you to fix it, fixing it is still going to cost you money if you've got it wrong. So it's important for you to know ahead of time, some of the parameters that are going to keep you safe and practicing in a low risk capacity as it relates to the classification of your workforce. So the DOL, as I mentioned, the United States Department of Labor is a governing body that oversees a test for the classification of workers. The second governing agency we're all familiar with is the IRS, and they have two main questions. How much control is the employer exerting over the potential employee? And then the second thing is the relationship. What is the perceived relationship between the employer and the individual that is going to be performing the work for you? So you can see that word control comes right back in. It was there at the DOL, now it's here at the IRS level. The great news about the IRS is they actually have some support for you. They don't want you to risk getting it wrong. So they've created the form SS-8. You can find it on Google or you can find it at irs.gov, but it's the form SS-8. And if you're an employer or a small business that is struggling and you're not quite sure how to classify your workers, what you can do I would recommend you err on the side of caution and pay them as an employee. Send in the form SS-8. If they come back and say, nope, this is an independent contractor, fine, you can adjust, and the ramifications are a little less than if you'd have done it the other way around. If you started out with them as an independent contractor, you could end up owing back pay, back taxes, those kinds of things. So we don't want to do that. So that is the IRS. And again, Form SS-8, the IRS will determine the type of worker for you if you don't really know how to do that. And then the last one is a bit shocking to some. Many people don't typically think of the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, as being something that works outside of unions and yellow dog contracts, etc. But they do. It's irrelevant whether or not your workers are unionized or not for the purposes of the classification test. And the very first bullet point that they have on their test, which is extensive, I think it's like 10 questions long, is how much control is the employer exercising over the potential worker? So in every single scenario, you hear the word control. There are some other key factors like, are you requiring them to use your business office, your business computer? Are you requiring them to be there from 8 to 5 and wear your business uniform? Or, do they have reimbursed business expenses, etc.? All of these things go back to control. So if all of those things are true, you're most likely dealing with a W-2 employee, and you need to have them on your payroll, pay taxes, etc. You can't control an independent contractor. You can't tell them when they can work the project. You can't tell them how to do the project. You have to just trust that they have the knowledge and the capacity to do it, because that's what they've said they did with you when they negotiated their contract with you, and that they have the expertise to do what they need to do. They handle their finances. You don't pay their taxes, nothing like that. You send them a 1099 NEC at the end of the year. Now it used to be a 1099 MISC. Now it's a 1099 NEC. You send that to them at the end of the year, and they figure out their taxes. You just can't control them. You can't tell them that they can't work for other businesses while they're working with your business on your project, because then you could be impacting their ability to make profits, which could result in a loss, and then you're going to be responsible for that loss should they file a claim against you. In any case, there are those tests that you can go out and look at. Again, you can go to the DOL.gov, you can go to the IRS.gov, you can look up the NLRB, you can see all of the bullet points associated with these tests. I would advise every single one of you, if you are a business owner, small business, private practice, it doesn't matter. Go out there. If you're HR, go out there and take a look at those and just have some idea in your mind as to what's going to be expected in terms of trying to classify these folks the right way. If employees feel that they're classified the wrong way, and some of them do understand their rights, they will file claims. And if you've got them misclassified, you're in trouble. They're going to win. So that's not the situation we want you to be in. And this is just one of those areas where employers ignore it until they get hit real hard with it. And it's such an easy thing not to have to do. Again, you're always going to have employers that are the sort of self-proclaimed non-government conformist, and if they don't want to follow the rules, that's fine. All you can do as HR or a tax professional or a corporate counsel is advise and liaise, but you do need to be diligent, and that's fine. Again, the majority of employers, I think they do want to get it right. They just may not know how, but that I don't know is not a defense. So here are some resources: the DOL, the IRS, the NLRB, to help you get it right. And if you still need some help with that, certainly there are folks like me out here on the market that would love to work with you and love to help you and partner with you to make sure that everything is compliant and that you're practicing in the lowest risk possible. Thank you.